nice to meet you. You're the co-host of the Other Side Lifestyle podcast, also host of the Real Coaches Summit. So it's really cool to have you here. I know you've been in the game and your network is pretty vast, and obviously you have a lot of intelligence in sort of the coaching space. So tell me a little bit more about your business model and what you do, because I know you just had the Vegas Summit. One of our clients, Jason Brown, was there speaking. So that's super cool to see. But I just want to learn a little bit more about sort of what the Real Coaches Summit is, what your business model is, and your different business ventures.
So I'm an online coach. I'm B2C, so I work with consumers that are looking to improve body comp, their relationship with food, health markers, lose fat, gain muscle, gain confidence, whatever. Just your general population person who's looking to get healthier. So I teach them how to eat better, train better, optimize their lifestyle, optimize their mindset to be able to wrap all this stuff up in one convenient package that'll allow them to do this for a lifetime. That's really my only for-profit endeavor. Everything else I do is kind of a passion project. That's what the Real Coaches Summit
Oh, okay.
is, and will maintain to be. So that's not something that I make money off of. I actually lose a fuck ton of money on it. 100 grand now over the course of 2 years.
Damn.
But it's for the greater good of the industry. I think a lot of coaches don't know what the fuck they're doing. And by me hosting that event, I'm hopefully putting education into their hands and hopefully creating a better coach, which will effectively create a better result for the client, which will effectively increase the credibility of our industry as a whole.
That's sick. So why are you doing it? You're obviously losing a shit ton of money on it. Why are you
Because if I
aiming
don't
to
do it,
do all
who else
this?
is who else is going to do it?
Let's go. I like that. So what does it look like? Like what if I'm going to the coaching summit, like what would I expect going there?
You're going to learn a lot. You're going to meet a lot of people. You're going to see that there's really good coaches in our space who are bullshit free. I keep the influencers and the clout chasers out of it. The speakers that I pick, I all hand pick based on their knowledge base, their practicality, and their experience. I don't pick people with big followings on purpose. I don't pay anybody anything. They do this because they believe in what I'm doing in my mission, and they believe in giving back to their industry. Jason Brown is your perfect example. He knew the financial trouble that I was in. He sold 32 of his online courses at a discount to the attendees, and he ended up giving me all the money. Um,
Damn.
so that's the type of people I'm dealing with. I'm not dealing with your YouTuber or your young law fucking model, whatever is going on out there. I'm 40, man. I come from a time where when you worked out, you didn't have to tell people about it because you walked into a room and your shoulders filled out your shirt and people knew you lifted weights. We didn't have to put it on Instagram. And that shit doesn't help 55-year-old Mr. and Mrs. Jones lose weight. Like you deadlifting or standing in front of your fridge with your abs out doesn't help anybody. So I'm just trying to create a different type of an environment. I'm trying to create credible education environments. I'm trying to get people in the rooms with other people who've been doing this for longer and better. And hopefully that'll foster an environment of change. But unfortunately, the dollars and cents in the fitness industry will drive this industry always, like in every other industry. So unfortunately, unless more and more of my type of thinking starts to become adopted, we're still going to be susceptible to the influencer bullshit.
Yeah. So what do you being in the game, knowing some of the top dogs, like I know there's probably a balance between actually selling and, doing it for profit versus actually helping people. Like, where do you see that balance and like what's the best way to go about it? Because I know there's influencers that are selling bullshit courses and not actually, valid or giving out good information. What's that sort of balance look like? And what do you see in most of these coaches with providing good enough value and charging for that value?
Well, so what you said there is interesting because the idea of good enough. What's
Yeah.
good enough? Like, how do you quantify what good enough is? And it's going to be a case by case basis. I have services and offerings that are priced at X, and I try to make it as reasonable as possible based on what I think the public can afford. Or the reality is I'm a luxury item. If you're a
Mhm.
personal trainer or an online coach, you're not a necessity to anybody.
Yep.
And somebody who's financially struggling is not going to be able to afford the level of attention and care that they need. So the job of any good coach is to show up on social media or with a newsletter or to their audience in public and in real life, like doing seminars and stuff for free in their community, to educate people on the practicality of nutrition and training to be able to get people to start moving the needle on their own. But as far as balance is concerned, as an entrepreneur who runs his own business and puts an event on and has to pay rent in Southern California, I have no balance.
Hmm.
I'm 24/7, 365 on call. If I'm on vacation, my phone's in my hand. If I'm at dinner, my phone's in my hand. If I'm at a party, my phone's in my hand because my clients are my priority. Because I
Yep.
know they have options and they have plenty of options. Now, not all the options that they're going to have are good. It's like anything else, right? I pay $350 an hour to sit for a tattoo. If I went and paid $100 an hour to sit for a tattoo, I'd probably be getting a much lower quality of the product. Same thing with coaching. Like, make it reasonable enough to where people can come in and afford your service. Like, I charge $325 a month for my group, and that's including all nutrition, all training, access to me directly via phone as often as you need it. Like, I'm giving my shirt off my back to people. I know coaches who charge five, seven, $800 a month, and they don't even return an email within 24 hours. And that's the shit that drives me crazy because these people, like, at the end of the day, like the fucking macros and the calories and the reps and the sets, none of that shit matters. What matters is can you do that every single day? Can you replicate that year after year after year? Like, we don't have a weight loss problem in America. We have a rate regain issue, and we have a behavioral problem. We have cognitive behavioral therapy issues. We have mental health problems. And the job of any good coach is to understand their client, and that has to come at a price, and that has to come at some level of personal attention.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah. It's all about, because that's really what I see, and truly the coaches that stand out to me, and that we work best with and are actually able to scale is if they have a serious product. Like if you're, because our whole thing is acquiring customers for as cheap as possible and keep them around as long as we possibly can. And the best coaches keep their, clients around for years, and then it's all word of mouth from there. So like that one client that we're acquiring from you can last you years, and then that's how you're going to be profiting off of them. So that's seriously what we look for. And the accountability aspect, just people just want to be able to know that they're going to be taken care of and actually have genuine relationships with people. So going based off that, like what are the main bottlenecks that you're seeing a lot of these online coaches, facing right now? And like it as a whole.
Scaling too quickly before they have any credibility whatsoever. It's not hard to become an online coach.
Hmm.
It's not hard to build an online presence. You have a lot of people that are overthinking the type of content they need to be posting, and the reality is, it's just talk about the stuff that you're talking about every single day with the clients. That's where all my content comes from. That's where all my practicality and my helpfulness comes from. At the end of the day, I don't give a shit about being right or looking good to other coaches. I care about helping people that are struggling with fat loss, with misinformation, because everything, you open up Instagram today and you see 5 million different people saying 5 million different things, and people are just lost because they don't know what to do. Now, we have an idea of best practices, and we have some science behind some of this stuff that's been around for hundreds of years that hasn't really changed much. Biomechanics hasn't changed, anatomy and physiology hasn't changed. Obviously, our environment has changed substantially. And I think we have this very misguided message of quickest way to 10K, get your first 100 clients. And then we see people sitting on top of their cars and going on all these vacations. When in reality, like, that's just not how it works. Like, I didn't make 10K as a trainer for 12 years. Like, I don't know what world you're living in where you think you're going to be making that kind of money. And if you're 20 something years old and you're looking up to these douchebags on the internet, like, you're going to be in for a very, very rude awakening at some point when you realize you have no work ethic. You've never actually put anything together on your own. You have no idea how to problem solve. You have no idea how to critical think. You have no systems in place. You don't have the technical skill or the savvy to service your clientele base. And you don't even have basic communication skills to keep people engaged and keep people participating. There's so many business coaching groups out there that are just selling this false hope idea of just make money, yeah, sure, you might make money. It's like dealing drugs. I used to sell blow. I can fucking get a brick of coke for $1,000 and flip it for 3 grand. But when am I going to get the next one? Where's my clientele base going to be? How do I service that clientele base? Like, it's not it's short money, and people are just so concerned with like, what can I get right now immediately to feed my dopamine and to feed my importance in the world, versus how do I actually get really good at a trade craft, and how do I become the best possible professional there is?
That's cool. Yeah, I really like that. It's like just perfecting your craft and really focusing on that one thing. Cause obviously I'm 23 years old and I live in that demographic that's super fast. And I've been doing this for obviously like 4 years now. And I come from, a college. I played college football and I've been chasing that my whole life. And I feel like that really, constructed my work ethic and really rolling into like what I do now. And so I take, a lot of pride in what I do and actually building something that is actually there to service other people. So I know a lot of people, especially like even in the agency game, because I'm obviously an agency. It's like you got to stick with it for more than a few months. Like I've been doing this for years, and it's just little by little because you tell your clients that too. If you're an online fitness coach, you're telling them you're not going to see results in a freaking week. You like it takes years to build a physique and build in lose fat and do all these things. It's not just like, oh, you're going to go to the gym and, have a six pack and lose all this weight. It's like, it takes years of discipline to actually do it. So it's like really eating those words, I feel like.
Yeah, we need to figure out a way. I always had a very good, like, if I was able to run for president, this would be what I would do. You would have two options when you graduated high school. You can either, well, three. You can go to college. That's option number one, which I actually don't think it's much of a good return on your investment anymore. Lord knows it
Yep.
wasn't for me. You can go to the military, which, you know, respectable path, or you can go work at a restaurant for 2 years. And the reason why I say go work in hospitality for 2 years is because you're going to learn a lot of life lessons in that place. You're going to learn how to deal with human beings. You're going to learn what it's like to have an asshole for a boss. You're going to learn what it's like to have to sweat and bleed and run around and get yelled at, because that's how life is. Like life is not sitting behind your computer screen and judging other people and living off the accolades of other people. It's being out in the trenches and doing shit that's hard. Like I've been blue collar my whole life, even though I lived in a white collar world, and I was in finance and made a ton of money when I was doing that. I didn't keep any of it. I was a fucking 26-year-old kid who was making 120 grand a year who didn't know what to do with it. So I spent it every week. Nobody teaches you about this stuff in high school. Your parents don't do a good job of telling you how to manage your money. You have to figure this shit out for yourself. And when you have a lot of these people on Instagram who are showing you the flashy side of this business, which it can be flashy. I have plenty of friends in this industry who make six figures a month, but they don't tell you about the problems they have. It's like a gambler when they tell you about all their wins and they don't tell you about their losses. Like, yeah, it sounds really cool to make 50K in a month, but how much are you spending? How much time are you spending doing your work? Like, how much are you responsible for on a daily basis? What's your quality of life? What's your mental health like? So I don't chase money. I chase results, and I chase credibility. Like for me, I want to be the authority figure in my space. I want people to look up to me when they need help. I want people to trust me when they need help. And I want to be that source that you come to because you know you're going to get bullshit free information that's going to help you. And half the time I don't charge for it. I spend most of my time every week on the phone for free.
Yeah.
I don't,
Literally
I
doing
don't,
this stuff
I
like
don't,
this. Yeah.
I want to do podcasts. I want to do phone calls for free with people that can't afford coaching. I want to steer them in the right direction and get them away from the desperate stuff that's happening. Because what happens most of the time is you see somebody who it's 10 o'clock at night, they got the pint of Ben and Jerry's on their stomach, they're sitting in front of the TV, they're scrolling on Instagram, and they feel like shit about themselves. So they see fucking Ken with a six pack or Barbie with a six pack and a nice ass selling some bullshit 4.99 a month program, and they sign up. And they don't realize that like they're not going to get any support. They're never going to learn how to train properly. There's not going to be any guidance on nutrition whatsoever, or they're going to get some stupid template that doesn't work. And then they're going to say that coaching failed them. But in reality, they just picked the wrong product, and they picked the wrong service, and they picked the wrong individual because they didn't do their homework and they bought something impulsively. So what I try to do is I try to get people to understand there are very good coaches out there. I mean, Jason Brown, again, one of the best people I know in this industry. Integrity, work ethic, family oriented. I mean, the guy is just a rock solid individual. But you get a guy like him with 20 years of experience under his belt, it's going to cost you something. And if you're not ready to invest in yourself, then unfortunately, the free advice is the best you'll be able to do right now.
Yeah. I like that. I really like that. Sort of going back on, because I know you're talking about like social media now, it's like super flashy. And I know as being an online coach, a lot of these people love preaching having like a mentor or a business coach. And you're probably obviously, you're very familiar with that space. How do you sift through like all of that? And like, where would you guide someone to that's watching this now? Because on a lot of my podcasts, people are always just talking about the wins that they've had with their business coaches. Like, how are you going to sift through that being like a BS coach, someone selling something that they haven't done before versus actually someone that's going to give you value? And how do you look for that?
First, you have to understand what it is that you need. Like, I don't care who you are, whether you're a client looking for nutrition advice or training advice, or you're a business owner looking to amplify something in your business or improve something in your business. You have to understand what it is that you're missing and what you need to do better. Then you can construct a line of questioning and have a conversation with an individual about what it is that you're missing and what you need and what they're expected to then deliver to you. I've spoken on the phone with plenty of business coaches. The reality is there's not going to be much that you can tell me that I don't already know. I know about the email lists. I know about Facebook ads and Instagram ads. I know about cold and hot DMs and all this other stuff. Like, I know how to market things. Do I follow through with it all the time? No, of course not. If I did, I would never have to want anything. I mean, my business would be completely fine. And it's not that it's bad now. It's just not quite where it needs to be, and it'll improve. But a lot of people you have to get on the phone with people and talk to people and actually understand what it is that you need and what can they actually deliver to you and how is that going to be delivered. So, for example, when my clients inquire about my services, I get on the phone with them for as long as it's going to take. And I basically tell them, this is what's expected of you. I need you to do these 3 or 4 things. Does that seem reasonable? Can you commit to that? Yes or no? Because if they say no, I'm not even going to bother telling them what I'm going to offer them because it's not worth it at that point. If you can't do the work, why would I make you pay for something that you can't even commit to? And that's the problem is I think a lot of coaches, when they have these sales calls with people, they're just like, well, yeah, let's get you signed up. And it's like, well, I don't even know what the fuck I'm buying. Like, what am I going to get? What are you actually delivering to? What are the deliverables? What are the expectations of me as a client? What are the expectations of you as a coach delivering me a service? So there's a misalignment there, and there's a miscommunication there. And I wonder if it's because either they don't have a system in place that's good enough to be able to tell them that, or that they're so desperate to make the sale that they don't care who they get into their ecosystem. They just want volume.
Yeah.
And that to me is a red flag. The second that somebody doesn't want to spend enough time with you on the phone and explain to you what it is that they do and how they do it and what your involvement is going to be, run in the opposite direction immediately.
100%. Yeah, I think that's what a lot of business owners, and obviously through trials and tribulations, like we've seen that ourselves, is like they don't understand, especially like working with an agency. Like we come in here, we're going to go in your business and help you grow and scale, and we're going to look at it full fledged. Like we're not going to be, doing any BS. Like we're going to be set our expectations clear, but it's not oh, we're going to come in here and run your business. It's a supplement to what you're actually doing. And it's a partnership at the end of the day. Like we're going to hold our end of the bargain. We're going to set our expectations. Then we're going to have expectations from you. We're going to give you homework on what you need to do because there's so many clients out there. It's like, well, can you do this, this, this? I'm like, you need to learn these things and like build off of it to be able to have a sustainable system because if you don't have a system, you don't have a tangible business at the end of the day. It's like you need to be able to build those systems, especially on the back end, if you're looking to scale, because there's so many people that come to us like, okay, we want more clients, we want to hit 50K, 100K a month, but it's like if you don't have those systems in place, you're not gonna get close to there, or you may hit it, but it's not real. Like it
Well,
could
and
fall the
how
next
do you
day.
fulfill that? You have to be
Yeah,
able to fulfill the bit. Like, I'm not going to take on clients I can't take care of.
yeah,
My system is set up to where I have maybe 2 or 3 days of really, really long, hard days of work of getting through check-ins, scheduling phone calls, getting on phone calls, and doing the administrative stuff. But that's 3 or 4 days a week tops, and that's usually once every 2 weeks when the check-in week falls. Outside of that, I'm not sitting there like in front of a computer 7 hours a day. Like, this is why I never understand. Like, when I see coaches charging, $900 a month for one-on-one coaching, and then there's every one of their pictures is them at Starbucks working away, and they're having a photo shoot there. It's like, I don't leave my house when I'm busy. Like, I'm on day 3 right now. What is it today? Wednesday. My car hasn't started in 3.5 days. Like I have a gym in my garage that I use for 20 minutes every day if I need to. All my food's here. I get groceries delivered. I live in fucking California. It's 75 degrees outside. I haven't left my house in 3.5 days. So don't tell me that you have enough time to go do a photo shoot at Starbucks when you're so busy. Like clearly you're not managing your time well. So I've just never understood this idea of like I'm going to appear to be busy. Everybody's going to know my schedule on Instagram, but then I'm also going to complain about the lack of money that I make or don't make. That's not anybody else's problem. Like you putting out that type of information doesn't help anybody on the internet. If you're a business coach, maybe that helps somebody. I doubt even that. But if you're somebody who's like me, who's business to consumer, what the fuck does that do for like you sitting in a Starbucks doing a photo shoot in the afternoon doesn't help Mrs. Jones with her 45 pounds that she has to lose.
Yeah. I like that. I like that take because that's literally what you see. Like you're talking about just like the influencer versus the actual coach. Like I see that all over my feed, and that steers me away of, a client relationship. Like I want to work with someone that's going to put their, especially with our skin in the game where we're getting a performance bonus. Like that's how we make our money is through performance actually scaling you. So it's like these are partnerships that we're seriously building. Um, yeah, that's funny. But sort of to wrap this up, this has been a great conversation. I think you've, given a lot of insight. I just want to dive deeper into like what your goals are for 2024, maybe even past 2024, but what's really your main mission with all the things that you're doing with the coaching summit and with your personal business, with your clients? Like, what is your ultimate goal for 2024 and what you're trying to achieve?
So primary goal is well, from a black and white standpoint, tactically. I don't have an email list. Like I don't do any email marketing yet. It's just been something I haven't spent any time doing. So I'm probably going to start creating some type of a newsletter. I like to write and I consider myself to be a pretty good writer. So I want to start doing at least some type of a biweekly newsletter and not as a sales pitch, just more along
Yeah,
the lines of like, hey,
free
I'll
value.
talk. Yeah, I'll talk about calories. I'll talk about training modalities. I'll talk about reps and sets. I'll talk about because I can only get so much done in an Instagram caption. So this will just allow me to be a little bit more long form. I have the time for it, so why not fucking use it? I just haven't been doing that well. So that'll be priority number one this quarter. Priority number two will be obviously to try to acquire I don't know, probably another 10 to 15 people to work with on a month-to-month basis, which will obviously help me pay down that loan a little bit quicker than I had to take out for this past coaching summit. And then just taking the feedback that I got from this year's event and build upon it and try to actually get to a place where I'm breaking even on it every year.
Hmm.
Just I just it's getting to a point now that I can't handle the stress of it. Like it's just it was so like I didn't know what it felt like to be close to a mental breakdown, but when I got the final bill on the event, like I was like, it's either going to be a gun in my mouth or a fucking loan.
Oh my gosh.
And I started calling everybody I knew that had money, and I'm like, listen, I'm going to fucking bind here. Like I need help. And they're like, well,
Yeah.
what happened? I said, I fucked up. I just miscalculated stuff. I didn't take into account the per head cost. The tickets were priced way too low. Too many people came, which is a good problem to have. So I just need to be a little bit more organized about running the event smoother and just having a little bit more profitability there. So there is no more financial strain. Um, at 40 years old, dude, worrying about money fucking sucks. And I'm tired of it.
Yeah. Where's the next one going to be? Like, are you planning the next one yet? Or,
Um, I want to keep it in Vegas just because Vegas is so fun and it's such
mm,
an easy destination to get to for most people across the country. But I'm also starting to realize how much more expensive it is being in Vegas because the amenities are so much more expensive. I mean, the hotel room
true.
costs are dirt cheap. Like people were paying 109 to 119 a night for a very boutique hotel in Vegas, which you can't find that anywhere else in the country. So, let's say maybe the hotel room cost goes up to 200 or something. I was thinking maybe somewhere in Texas, just because that's halfway in the middle of the country. It's easy to fly into there too. But I don't know, man. The spirit of the event, like Vegas just has I love it because I'm very much chill 99% of the time, but 1% of the time is the animal comes out. And I think Vegas is the perfect place for that because it allows you to kind of be with your people and all in one place. But then when you go out at night, like we had a blast on Tuesday night after the event was over. 30 of us took two party buses to Spearmint Rhino. We had a great time, bottles, we chat. Like it just was an extension. It was a great way to just wrap up what the event was. And I don't think you'll get that in any other city, like maybe Nashville, maybe Scottsdale. But again, you have to think ease of access to flights. You got to think cheap hotel rooms, and then you got to think like food and booze and all that kind of stuff because I do want to provide amenities. So I just have to be cognitive of cost. So it's yeah, I'm going to shop around in the next month or so and see what other venues I can maybe try in Vegas. If I can't get a low enough price in Vegas, I'll probably start to consider someplace else, maybe in the middle of the country.
Yeah, let me know, dude, because that I saw on Jason's stories and everything. It looked like a good time. So I'll obviously be peeping around on your Instagram, waiting for the next one, so I can come through to that. It looked like a good time. But yeah, Aram, it was really nice talking to you. Nice quick podcast, and hopefully for you guys watching, you're able to get a lot of value out of this. I'll plug Aram's Instagram and all of his stuff in the bio. And if you're an online coach, like a lot of the value that you're getting in the people and that's connected to Aram and that, we're speaking at his event, be on the lookout for the next event. We'll probably be there. And you can get a lot of, awesome value out of it. But Aram, it was
Yeah.
really nice to meet you. If you have any questions for me outside of that, feel free to hit me up, but it was really nice to connect with you, man.
Thank you. And if any of your audience has any questions, I'm not a business coach. I'm not going to profess to be the number one person when it comes to business, but I've been doing this long enough. And if I can connect you to somebody, I will. So if anybody has any questions for me, my DMs are always open.
Sweet. Awesome. I appreciate it. You have a great one, man.
Thanks, man. You too.
Yes, sir. Peace.
Take care.